Hey everyone, welcome to our last monthly video of the year. The theme for the month of June is pursuing excellence. Normally I start out these videos by talking about the videos I've done or the themes I've done for each month, January to May. This month I'm going to talk and just kind of recap what we talked about last month in the video. The big focus was maintaining motivation. So I talked about how the month of May, qualifiers were done. It was a little less competition, maybe one tournament or two, way more practice time, a little bit more competition in the gym between teams. And we worked on keeping the big goal in mind, which is getting to the podium in June. I talked about how it's kind of be difficult to do when we have a long stretch and it's not quite the end of the season, but it almost is. So we talked about maintaining our motivation, focusing on getting to the podium. Just like that. Wow, who's that coach on the bottom right corner? It's me. This is 14 gold from last year. We got third in the country. Man, it was a good time. Getting this podium was fun. But this is our goal. This is where we all want to be, up there with the big USA volleyball thing behind us, holding a medal and a trophy. This is what we work on 7 months to do. So for activity number one, we're going to do a little bit of reflecting on what our club season has looked like so far. So I want you to grab a piece of paper, something to write with, and I'll talk about what we are going to do with it. So like I talked about, this season so far has been 6 months of training and competition, lots of tournaments, lots of time spent in the gym. I want you to take some time and write out the answers to these three questions. What have you improved on the most as an individual athlete? So your volleyball skills. Please do not write down my hitting got better, my serving got better. So it's so broad, does not really reflect your training at all. I want you to be really specific. So let's say you have gotten better in serve receive. What changes did you make? Were you dropping your shoulders a little bit more? Were you moving to the ball a little bit quicker? Were you tracking the ball? Were you calling it sooner? Be really specific about how you improved on these skills. Also write down what you think your team has improved on the most. Think back to your first tournament in January to the most recent tournament you've played in, could be this past weekend or a couple weekends ago. What has your team improved on the most? Again, be really specific. And then what do you think you've improved on the most as a teammate? So this is different than the first one in that I want you to think about things you have done that are not volleyball skill related. So has your communication improved? Have you made more connections than in December? Maybe you didn't have many connections on the team and now you do. Are you more of a leader? Be really specific with this. If you're doing this as a whole group and coaches are in the room as well, coaches, I want you to answer this. How have you improved in your skills as a coach? And what do you think your team has done a better job of as well? So pause the video, take some time to answer these questions. All right, let's talk about how we can use this. What are we going to do with this activity? So I believe, and this is kind of my big point of this video, is that the key to excellence, the key to us succeeding in Indy is determining our focus. So we want to think about where our head is at, what we're thinking about in regards to volleyball as we lead up to the end of June and we go to nationals. Activity number one forces us to do just that. It forces us to envision just our achievements, see ourselves succeeding throughout the year. I will never ever tell an athlete to replay mistakes in their head unless they are giving feedback to themselves of what to do different in the future. I don't think it ever helps. I think our focus should be just towards our successes and our achievements. However, are we doing this in practice? Like I talked about, it's a long season. It's kind of a grind. It's really fun, but it's a long season. When we get to practice, where is our head at? Where are our eyes? And I think sometimes our errors in thinking, things that take away from our focus, can be maybe thinking about the season being over. I think that it's, of course, to have okay to have things to look forward to in July and August. If you have things to do the rest of your summer, totally fine to have those to look forward to. Of course, volleyball is not our entire lives, but when you're in the gym and you're spending 2 hours with your team, dedicating to your team, is your head at a place that's not in the gym? Are you thinking about your errors during practice? Are you replaying past mistakes? Also, I think not a helpful thing to do, not going to give us success at nationals. Are you thinking about what we're going to eat for dinner? Are you thinking about hanging out with your friends at night? Those two examples are just common places I think our heads can go when we are either at practice or probably at school. It's my big point also is that it's okay for our minds to slip a little bit. We're humans. We got a lot of things we think about during the day. I would be lying if I never thought about for dinner after practice during a practice. However, the important thing is to notice it and refocus back to what I think are important things that help us determine our focus and achieve excellence at the end of June. At the end of June. So the things we should be thinking about where our focus should be at practice is on our teammates, success in Indy, or at nationals, and our own improvements throughout the season. So again, something to take with you from this video, start to notice this at practice. If you compete also between now and nationals, some teams still have tournaments. Where's your head when you're on the court? Where's your head when you're with your teammates? And if it slips, can you notice that and bring your focus back to your team, back to achieving success at nationals? Big point here is that we have the choice to determine our focus in the month of June. We have control over where our thoughts go. And when we force ourselves to focus on the task at hand, so when you're in practice, your thoughts are at practice, and our successes and not thinking about errors, then we kind of access this key to excellence. And I think that's very important for us to drive home in our heads. Where is your head at practice? Can you divert your focus back to your team and achieving success? Not to past mistakes, even past mistakes in practice, not to whatever else is going on in your head, but just to your team, just to focusing on succeeding at nationals. So how do we use this? I think it's great to kind of notice where our thoughts are in practice, very important. How can we use the key? Based on what you thought about in activity number 1 and what we've kind of talked about today, I want you to create a phrase that forces you to focus on success. So I gave some examples of what this could sound like focus on the good, 14 gold podium. If I hear that, I'm just envisioning my team doing well. Think back to the good this year. I could only see positive things for my team. If some of the stuff you wrote down that your team got better at is like let's say your team won a qualifier, won a tournament, you could write down what that is. We won MEQ. And if I hear that phrase, I just think about my team doing really well. If you want to put it more future focused and say my teammates are going to do a great job, whatever it is, take a couple minutes and think about what that phrase would be, that when you hear it, you just think about volleyball and your team, and you just think about your team succeeding. Your focus is just towards success. So pause the video, think about what that phrase could be for you, and feel free to write it down on that same piece of paper you're using for activity number 1. All right, I gotta get my phone ready for the next part. Ignore my my phone usage here. Perfect. All right, so how can we use this key? What are we supposed to do with this phrase? How can we remember it? I think I talk a lot in these videos about like you could listen to these videos, they can be impactful for you, but they have no long-term impact unless you're using them on the daily or in practice. This is a great way to take what we talked about in this video and use it every single day until nationals. So 2 options for using your phrase to determine your focus. Set a reminder on your phone. Use the reminder app. I'm a big reminder app gal. If I didn't use my reminder app for pretty much everything, I don't know if I would ever get anything done. So set a reminder for once a day, every day before nationals, that this phrase is going to pop up in your phone. And it forces you to take a minute or 2 to think about seeing yourself succeed in Indy and seeing yourself succeed at nationals. This time could be during a normal practice time, so you could see this right before practice. It could be when you have some downtime. For instance, focus on the moments, Central Zone Championship, MEQ, Championship C success. And here's the reminder, just popped up on my phone like that. Super easy. If I see that, I take a second to think about, wow, my team had some really great matches this year. We're going to do really well in Indy. And I complete the reminder, pops up again the next day. You might be thinking like, man, I got to think about this every day. Yeah, you got a minute or two to think about yourself doing really something really great. I think that's can only be helpful. We think about 1,000 things a day. My head goes from my work to volleyball to the TikTok video I just sent my friend to the food I'm going to eat to the pizza I ate last night. It's 1,000 things in my mind. I think it's great to divert our focus on purpose once a day to this big goal we have at the end of June. If you do not have a phone or do not have the reminder app, or the reminder app is not as pivotal in your life as is to mine, feel free to write this phrase down on a small piece of paper and keep it somewhere that you're going to see it every day. So that could be like the bathroom mirror, the refrigerator in your house, your car, whatever is the most useful spot for you. Again, this is going to sound like, oh my gosh, this is, every day I got to think about volleyball. For 1 or 2 minutes, be really great to think about yourself succeeding. I don't think this is a bad thing. I think this is a great way to take all the stuff we talked about in this video and divert our focus towards excellence for the month of June. So our big takeaways, we have the ability to determine our focus for the rest of the season. And I want us to choose to set our eyes on our team, our coaches, and our successes and our goals for Indy and for nationals. Because we have the ability to control our thoughts and where our focus is. And let's get to the podium. Let's get there. I also want to thank you all for watching my videos this year. Feel free to go back and rewatch them at any point for your middle school, high school seasons. They're on my YouTube page. So, have your coaches send you the links. If you watch this as a team, you could rewatch these videos. Good luck to everyone. Good luck to everyone in Indy. At nationals. I'm so excited for us as a club to, man, we've been successful this year. I'm excited for us to show it at nationals. And as always, go Sting.